Welcome, everybody. I hope you're doing so well today. Very nice to have you here with me. Grab a coffee or your favorite calorie-free beverage of choice. We'll lean into a fasting space together this morning. Step 4 on the weekly Simple Fasting live stream. We are taking a step every day toward better health in the not quite the waning days, but in the home stretch we're heading toward 2026. And really enjoying the process so far. Thanks for joining in with me. Pat is here, says, Happy Friday Eve. I love it. Yeah, we're getting ready for the weekend early. My son has 2 days off school for some sort of in-service, so he started his weekend already. He said, oh, it's the weekend. I'm like, well, not quite. Your weight loss goal is possible. That's what I'm going to dive in on today. Do you have a goal? Is it a specific goal? Is it a general goal? Is it a health goal or is it a weight loss goal in particular? Have you written it down? This would be something I definitely encourage you to do. If you're moving toward a goal, write it down. If you have a specific goal, of course, you're welcome to share it in the chat or the comments. Happy to hear where people are at, if you're making progress toward it, or if you're not. And then either of those situations we can work towards, certainly. So your weight loss goal is possible. I wrote in the title, if you open your mind. And so we're going to be thinking a lot. So within the sphere of things that are within our control, not everything, of course, is in our control. And don't we wish that it was? Maybe that's where a lot of the frustration in life comes, right? Things that happen and it's beyond our control can be very difficult. The things that are within our control can be difficult too if we're not controlling them in the way that we would like. So of the things that we control, pretty much everything in that sphere starts with thought, right? We think the thoughts, and then we go out into the world and we do our best to manifest those thoughts. Many times the thought that we have is like the future is going to be like the present. We start making a lot of assumptions that, things tomorrow are going to be like today. This is how we get in habits and routines. Makes it easier. We don't get decision fatigue. We don't have to spend all the time thinking, oh, what am I going to do today? What am I going to change today? Oh man, change is hard because we get in these grooves that make it easier. But then what that does is it kind of locks us into a certain path, a certain trajectory. So if we don't like exactly that trajectory, we were talking the other day about the sailboat. We're looking on the horizon. We're like trying to go over there, but we need to go just a little bit over there. Little course correction on the rudder. That is a change. It's a change of direction for our boat when we're steering it. It's a change of direction in our life when we decide, I want to kind of take this trajectory we're on. I want to move it just a little bit over that way. And so doing that starts with our thinking, right? So this is where I want to go today. The weight loss goal is possible. Do you believe it, right? Do you have a goal, whether you're here just specifically for a health goal? Look at this. Fred Zimmermann says hello. Good morning to you, sir. I hope you're doing well. Welcome. You have a health goal. Do you have it in mind? Can you see it? Can you visualize it? So if we're trying to head in that direction, first it helps to see it. If we don't see it, if we don't visualize it, very hard to believe in it, right? Very hard to see that it's possible if we haven't really made it concrete. So take a few moments here at our start as we're diving in. Like, what do you really want? Like, what do you really want to accomplish? And for our purposes, we're trying to dial in through the rest of the fall so that when we're having a big party on January 1st, New Year's party, we say, man, I really just crushed the fall. We made it through the holidays. We had this great experience with friends and family. We didn't deprive ourselves. We weren't missing out on anything. We used every health practice that we have to bring our whole life into balance. Enjoying food, having a healthy, positive relationship with food, essential for good mental health, fostering relationships and connection. Okay, having a balance to that, a space without food is something that the body needs, very healthy. Body runs all kinds of what I call downtime operations in a fasting space, clear through the excess, burn through the dysfunctional things, get back to a solid, stable baseline. Okay, so we're going to be moving through that process all through the fall. We're going to get to January, and what are you going to be experiencing then? What is the optimal experience where you say, man, that was great. I'm so grateful that I dove in through the fall, put in the hard work. And hard work I use loosely. Yes, we want to be dedicated. Yes, we want to work hard. But so many times in a weight loss space, that work hard has been used in our culture to basically mean like punishing amounts of exercise or putting us into a space where we're uncomfortable and we're not enjoying ourselves in any way. And what I'm trying to open up to people here, the opportunity we have in a fasting space is to recognize the physiology of the body. That when we voluntarily, not that we're in some physical space where we're actually deprived from food, someone suffering from true hunger and poverty, but a first world, problem of hunger, where it's like, we're just so used to consuming all the time. Our body isn't really trained to know how to handle this space so well, to actually learn that that's a skill. You can train yourself to do that over time. And that opening up that space, listen to how the body is responding. Body's saying, oh, hey, we got some plans for that. We can do that, right? And then as you experience it, you open it up, that it can actually come to be a very pleasant, calm, thoughtful, centered space. And that's a really, really powerful place to be to move toward a weight loss goal. That's what I described the other day as like floating toward it in our sailboat, right? We got the sail out. Say fasting is doing the work, like the wind is doing the work for the sail. It's perfectly great. I'm a big exerciser. Perfectly great to exercise. Get that dietary process in place first so that you don't have to exercise so much, burn through all the food first before you can start making headway on the weight loss process, right? That's how fasting can take the pressure off, not so much work to do. Let the body be operating. And then we float through that space. That's why I say, okay, working hard, yes, but like when we're letting fasting do the work, we don't have to struggle. If we're ever reaching a place where we're feeling like, oh, this is too intense for me, I feel like I'm feeling overwhelmed, that is not the type of space that I want people to be in at all. You get in a space like that, then you're tempted to overcompensate, right? And that is something we want to also stay away from. Floating through a space, finding the edge. Where is the body at in its physical ability to handle a fasting space we find that edge, that's one of the dials we can turn. And then we got two other beautiful dials, making sure we're dialing in on the healthiest food choices, minimizing especially processed foods, trying to eat whole, natural, healthy foods that came from the earth in a natural way. That's an excellent dial. And then our exercise dial, so important for being strong, functional. Love it. But that's the order that I tend to have people try to work. Training yourself to open up some fasting space, and then dialing in the appropriate food, and then layering in the exercise. That's the opposite of the way the society would typically see it. Society, say you try to lose weight, dialing in the exercise first, and then the afterthought is food choices, and then fasting is kind of like, it's not on most people's radar. So when we flip that around, that's how we can get into a mental space, floating toward our goal. So the goal is possible. As I'm kind of talking through that, maybe you're picturing it in your mind. What am I really trying to accomplish? What is the goal? Pat says, I try to make changes and start new habits, but quickly lose focus midweek. These daily sessions are very helpful. I'm actually still on track this week. Hey, I love that. This is like my big thought with this experience. Switch it to weekly. Step through the week together. And I'm really happy to hear that we're off to a good start on that. Really appreciate having you here. It's just great. All right, you've got your goal in mind. You're seeing yourself in January. You've accomplished something really significant. Now that you can see it, now we start to see the path between here and there. It's like 76 days. We've got something like 76 days, 76 steps toward that goal. And 76 sounds like a lot, but it's going to go quick. It's going to go quick. So like you're saying here, we got to stay focused. Every day is an opportunity to take one step toward January 1st, right? Toward that goal. And each day, it's the only opportunity we have to take that step. We can take other steps other days, but let's bring this down right here to today. We lose weight in the present. I did this video last week where I went out to this beautiful park and gave some reflections on losing weight and dialing in. That was kind of nice. Beautiful owl came and was hooting in the middle of my talking. Just love that. Okay, that one I was saying, we lose weight in the present. We don't lose weight tomorrow. We don't get healthier tomorrow. We get healthier right now, because right now is all we ever experience. We don't experience the future. The past is gone. We can't get stuck in the past. We have to let go of that, as difficult as it is. We can't worry about the future. We're just right here, right now. And that's really the only place we'll ever be, right? So if we want to take our step, we just center ourselves by kind of getting out of all of that time that doesn't really exist, right? We center ourselves. We're living in the present. We're going to lose weight today, right? We're going to move toward health today. Whatever that looks like in our goal, we are going to move toward it in the only way that we really can, which is to find the success here in this moment. So if you are here with me now, as we're live, is some morning. Most people fasting in the morning, before breakfast, right? You get up, you haven't eaten anything. You grab something pleasant. So here, calorie-free coffee, right? Or water, tea. Hey, we're in the sailboat now. We're sailing. So the day is off to a good start, right? In a weight loss space. So you haven't eaten yet. And if you have, no big deal, but it's learning, right? This is the process. You get up, you haven't had breakfast, right? The system is still working, right? The body has immense energy reserves. Body very strong. Body can sail through time for a very long period of time without eating. This is especially the case. We have some extra energy. We have stored body fat energy. We see it. We say, we want to get rid of this. This isn't what I want. We wish there was a button, like just get rid of it. Body looks at it, says, this is great, right? This is going to keep us alive in a difficult situation. And so we have to navigate this dance with the body. We're like, we want energy gone. Body's like, we like hanging on to this. This is going to keep us safe in a lean season. Fasting a process, the body is saving energy for us for periods of time when we don't have access to food. Now, we live in this beautiful world where we are fortunate enough to say we have enough to eat every day, which is incredible, and I'm all for it. We have the opportunity to voluntarily give the space to the body where we refrain from eating and give the body a break. This is a resting space for the body. Our culture, because we live in a consumption culture, which says you have to consume your way to health, you have to keep taking in all kinds of things, definitely supplements and definitely healthy food all the time. Think of every diet. It's always telling you, eat this, keep eating, never stop, okay? Where are the diets telling you stop, okay? That's the balance, and that's fasting. Take any diet you want, basically, and filter it through a lens of fasting. That'll get you actually to a much more functional place, where you say, yes, we're eating, but also we're taking a pause from that, giving the body space to actually burn through the excess, because I'm all for healthy food. That's a dial. But if the healthy food even never stops, also hard to lose weight. So couple things with diet, right? We want to stop unhealthy things coming in, top priority. And then the next priority, give the body space even from healthy things. That's like what we said yesterday. You have to be able to say no to something good in order to make room for something better. And that's very difficult to do. You say, pick your healthy food. I have buckets full of apples from the fall harvest. I say, it's still energy coming into the body. You say, well, an apple a day is keeping the doctor away, It's like, how can it be bad to keep eating it? But if it never stops and the energy is always flowing in, we're trying to create a scenario in the body where the energy is just flowing out, right? We got more energy in the system than we want, than we need. Need to create a space where that energy can flow out. So we say no to something good. We say no even to a squash and a carrot and whatever. And we just give the body space to let the energy flow out. For a while, not forever. We don't have to do extended fasting. It doesn't have to be days and days and days. That's like a pinnacle human experience to fast for so long. Very intense, not simple fasting. Still can bring health, but I have to be very, very thoughtfully considered, okay? Simple fasting, just saying, hey, it's the morning. Normally we get up and have breakfast. We're gonna extend that out a while. We're gonna float through that morning space, kind of help to the body to explore that, hey, everything is gonna be okay. And maybe you make that till lunch. That gets you to kind of a classic 16-8, people having a lunch dinner, meaning 16 hours of no food coming in, and then 8 hours, maybe have 2 meals. And then you can tighten that window up. People say well, there's just kind of 16-8 and then there's OMAD, 1 meal a day. But really there's a whole spectrum of time in between those two practices where those 2 meals eventually getting closer together and then merge into 1 meal. Eating 1 meal in a day, very, very strong, powerful practice for losing weight. And then at some point, have you done it? Have a whole fasting day. It's a very interesting experience. I just say a human experience to say, look at this. I floated through an entire day and I was okay. Maybe that's too intense as a place to start. It was too intense for me. When I learned about fasting, I tried to fast for a whole day, could not do it. I said, no way am I ever even going to be able to do it. But you just float toward it gently over time. And it's really like a process of opening up the body to it. Human body, very strong, absolutely can do it. with training over time if you're thoughtful about it and don't burn yourself up. Okay, the weight loss goal is possible. We're moving toward it. We're thinking about opening our mind toward it. We've talked about all these different processes, right? Ways that we could be walking a path within one day. So what does it look like? So each step, we got these 76 steps we're going to be taking. Now every day, mind you, does not have to look the same, but we kind of have like, some of those days in there, a couple of them going to be holidays. And this is what I want to tell you to get way out ahead of right now. Like plan for it and figure out what is going to be the most enjoyable holiday. What are the foods you really want? What are the things that bring joy and meaning and connection to life? I want you to have all of that and actually get as much enjoyment as possible out of it. Maybe you come up with a way by being really proactive about it that this holiday is going to be the best ever. Like with family and food, that because you're actually focusing on it, you can enjoy it even more. I think what happens a lot of times to people, if you're on a weight loss path, you're trying to lose weight, holidays, many people afraid of them. Many people don't like to think about it. Share your experience in the chat. I'd be curious to hear how is it for you. But people are like, because you struggle with it, because everybody bringing plates of cookies around or, all this stuff, and then it's always there and you're trying not to eat it, but then it's like, but you want it and it's good. And then it creates this whole stressful situation. And then that culminates in people stress eating because it creates an environment. Now you start stress eating and holidays, all this stuff around it really can cycle up in this, kind of stressful thing. People end up after the holidays, then we're usually sitting there and it's January. And now people are like, we got to get back on track. That's why we're trying to get way out in front of it here now. So the space that when I am meeting with people, that I see people a lot, people just block it out. People is like, la, 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 like we're not going there, no planning. And then it all just kind of happens in a big rush. The holiday happens in a big rush. We put everything together. It's a big, it's a big spiral. Okay, but that doesn't have to be us this year, right? We get way out ahead of it. See, when we're planning ahead, we can start enjoying it already right now. We can be like, oh, I know I'm going to have a good time. And I know I don't have to stress so much about it. See, we're already bringing enjoyment from it into the present moment. We know that everything's going to be okay. We don't have to be afraid of it because we have a plan. We're moving toward it. Everything going to be okay. That's how we're opening our mind to it, right? Because now we're seeing it. Okay, we've already accomplished this beautiful goal in January. Now we're here in the present. We're starting to see the path. We know the holiday is going to be okay, and we'll talk more about how we make it okay. And then we're right here still. We're centered in this moment. We're in a fasting space. We're seeing within the day. So we got those holidays, and now we got like the regular days, right? I would say fasting, especially for the regular days, Fasting not really for a holiday, right? Maybe some parts of it, you open up still some space in the holiday to balance out a big meal later in the day. That can be a great strategy. But mainly what we're talking about now is like every normal day that's not a holiday is like today. What is the step that we take today to just lose weight in one day and do it in a way that is peaceful, no stress, that's actually stress reducing? Jen is here. Hello, good morning, welcome. So nice to have you here. What is the way that we step forward just in one day? And I kind of view that as like a template. What is like the default day or the template that it's not a special day? It's not like my sister came from wherever that I haven't seen in so long and we're going here and there and going out to eat. It's like just the average boring day. We're going to work. We're doing the stuff we got to do. It's like we have that template that works. And it doesn't even have to work that much. It's just, literally, right? Tipping the scale just a little bit in favor of weight loss. And that's the step, right? And then every day we're taking that step as like the default, and then we're practicing it, right? As we're practicing it, things get easier. We get used to it. And then we can build on it. So I always encourage people, start small at a place that you understand and feels thoughtful, gentle, so you can step through that without difficulty. Then you'll find that the body can respond to it. So what might that look like? That might look like, you say, even 16:8 feels too intense. Say, I don't think I can make it all the way till lunch. I got all of this. So like if someone's at work and they say, well, normally I'd have a snack or something, have a snack, okay? Maybe if you have some flexibility on that, see the many subtle levels, you can bring that even down to like 5-minute increments. Sometimes I tell people who are very overwhelmed by a fasting process, say, like, just move that out 5 minutes, That might be step one because, anybody can go 5 minutes, okay? And then you think, well, what even is that? Like 5 minutes, what difference does that make? Well, in the big picture, if you wait 5 minutes to eat your breakfast on a physical level, it's not really going to make any difference, right? But tell me if you would agree. You'd probably agree. I mean, a weight loss process is mostly psychological, right? It's mostly a mental and emotional experience to get yourself into the right frame of mind where you can actually do the physical processes. The actual physical weight is a physical property of the body. It is the body. It's a physical, right? So we have to go through a physical process to lose weight, but it's the thought. That's the whole thing we're dialing in. We have to open our mind. We have to think the thought, the weight loss thought, in order to experience it, in order to take the required steps to actually do it. So from that point of view, 5 minutes is huge, right? 5 minutes can be everything because you're taking the step. Very hard to change. If you took 5 minutes, it means you changed, right? You made the smallest incremental change that you could make, but that is perfectly good. That's how you start, and that's why we're breaking this into 76 steps. We take a tiny step every day. Think of what that looks like. Now the next day, you step that out 5 minutes. Now we're at 10 minutes, and then 15, 20, 25, 30, okay? Now look over the course of a week. You're slowly giving the body space to adjust. You're not overwhelming anything. In the big sweep of time here, even just in a few months, okay? You'll be training. By week 2, you're out, toward an hour. Now moving things out an hour, that's some real space in the body. Hour is a real space. So if you're normally eating at 6 in the morning, and then you go out towards 7, and then you go out toward 8, and you can walk it in 5-minute increments, that could be a way. And then you can take that concept to any place where you're at. Someone is saying, look, I'm dialed in on 16:8 now. I'm eating my lunch dinner, but I can't move beyond that. Okay, use this same sort of thing. People like OMAD, so intense, could never do it. Well, you can move either one of those meals in either, direction if you have the flexibility to do it. Gonna move that dinner up 5 minutes, right? Because that's tightening the window from the other direction. Gonna move that lunch out 5 minutes. The more we're tightening that window, the more we're opening up space on the other side, the more space we're giving the body to say, hey, there's no food coming in here. I need to burn down the reserve that is here. That's what we're trying to do. If you need more intensity, if you don't need more intensity, then you don't have to walk on that path. Sometimes we dial in the amount of all these things that we need, and then if we're having success and progress, then we can just sit in that space, and we don't have to push it. You don't have to always be ratcheting things up more and more. Some people say, like, oh, I never got to like this level of fasting. Like, this is only about getting the results that you want. So it's not like you get a merit badge for like some special level. So just use a practice to the amount that you want. Jen says, I'm at work during dinner, so I'm going to try skipping dinner every day. They're at work. So work can be a powerful aid in fasting because, like, have you had it where you're at work and you get so busy and it's like, I know this would happen to me a lot when I was at the university. I'd be like, yeah, everything is crazy. There's so many patients, people running late, people call, doctor call, everyone's there. And it's like, but you just work through lunch. And by the time I saw the last person, then the afternoon has started and we just keep going. And like, before you know it, it's like 5:30 and it's like, where did the day go? I was like, I never ate. Okay. And I didn't even think about it. See, if you're distracted, body is very strong and capable. Body has huge energy reserves. And if we're not dialed in on like, oh, I have to be eating now, it's like the body's going to carry on and be just fine, right? But we get in these habits and we create an environment where it gives us all these cues, mental, and then mental gets transcribed into hormonal cues that tell the body that it's time to eat. This is the environment, the habits, the patterns. The physical feeling of hunger is hormonal. And right, hormones very powerful. Everybody knows about hormones, okay? So like you get a hormonal response is telling you to eat and you feel it physically in your body, okay? But what if you were at work, right? And you couldn't eat and you had 20 other things on your mind and you're like, I got to do this and this and this. And then this person is calling, you're totally distracted. Okay, that hormonal experience, it's still happening many times in the body on a reduced level, but it doesn't jump up to the top priority slot. That's why I tell people, find a pleasant distraction better than a stressful distraction. But even a stressful distraction, even if work is stressful, right? Still a distraction, still going to get you through a fasting space. So I like Jen's point, if you're at work, and then the big thing is, can you do it comfortably? Does it actually make work better? This is something really to dial in on. Does fasting make work better? Because it's like, okay, when you're fasting, you can be more productive in many ways. You don't just have to take the time to eat. If you would normally like eat at work on a break or something, okay, take that space, do something else, be productive. Maybe not just work productive, do something else for your life, get stuff done. That's taking pressure off. But then also just the fact that a fasting state, it's contrary to popular opinion, can be a very, very strong, powerful, productive state. Maybe not in the very short term if you're total novice at fasting, if you're not. See, I look at fasting like a muscle, right? You train a strength of fasting. And if you've never trained it, like think if you never went to a gym, you never exercise, you're totally sedentary. You show up at a gym and you try to just lift huge weights. Okay, you're going to pull a muscle. You're going to hurt yourself. It's going to feel bad, okay? It's the same thing with our fasting muscle, right? If you never fasted in your life, you're always eating. You're just on this consumption cycle like most of our culture is, okay? We haven't trained the fasting system. Then you just dive in. You try to be fasting. And it's like the body's like, whoa, like this is not what we do, right? This isn't how we operate, right? That's why we want to ease into it. That's why I said 5 minutes just fine. We're giving the body a heads up. Body was like, oh, like we ate a little longer. Maybe we need to like get a little ready for that. So most people who experience fasting, I think in our culture, do it unintentionally. They were prevented from eating in some fashion, and then they felt badly and said, oh, my body doesn't do well with that. I need to not do that, okay? And then specific categories of people especially be very bad. People with diabetes, people on blood sugar lowering medicines, right? If your blood sugar's dropping, okay, that's a scenario where fasting can be very dangerous if it's not approached thoughtfully. Low blood sugar, not good. Anybody can get low blood sugar, especially if you've never trained that fasting system. I think this is a lot of why people without diabetes will struggle with low blood sugar because we have made the system so dependent on constant consumption that as soon as the consumption stops, the body, it's atrophied in its ability to handle a situation like that. In the ideal scenario, a transition physiologically in the body between a fasting state and a fed state and back to a fasting state should be seamless. Should not have a dip in energy, should not have any trouble. And so if you're not experiencing that, that's just to realize there's some work to do. We can strengthen that system by practicing it. So I'm totally on board with that. Use work. There's like killing two birds with one stone. You got to go to work. You got to pay the bills. You got to do all this stuff. But if you can use the work as a way to help you get through a fasting space, then you're getting a double bonus from it. You're getting healthier. You're leaning into a fasting space. And then fasting in the evening, we're sitting here in the morning. I do fasting space in the morning. I have thought about, running an evening session at some point. Some people have asked for that. It's hard to, I haven't quite cracked the code with kids and activities and all this sort of stuff. Fasting in the morning is like my default space to start with for folks because it's usually the easiest, but it's not for everybody. Some people find it easier to fast in the evening. There actually is a fair amount of medical research that has looked into physiologic differences of fasting between a fasting window in the morning and a fasting window in the evening. Sometime maybe I'll put together a talk like we've done, and I'll kind of talk through some of the differences. In general, fasting in the evening is a bit stronger of an effect also. Early time-restricted eating is how it's described in the medical literature. Having the window earlier in the day, we were having breakfast and lunch, and then fasting after that, a bit stronger. And then there's hormonal reasons for that, which maybe I won't, if I'm not careful, I'll dive into that whole talk today, and then we'll go. But the evening time, a powerful time to fast, letting the body clear that food out earlier is like a lot of times when we eat right before bed, body's like, hey, we didn't really need that, and then the body hormonally is going into storage mode. Stuff we're eating before bed is like, just tuck that stuff away for later, except then later comes and we still don't really need it, right? So when we clear out that late eating, gives the body a chance to shut down that digestive system, can actually really help with sleep. Many people, we've talked about this on the channel, experience better sleep with fasting, even in the morning, but especially in the evening. My experience, and many, is not right away. You start trying to fast in the evening if you've never done it. Hard to go to bed if you're feeling hungry. That's my experience, okay? But that experience of hunger is just about the body hormonally, when we're used to eating and preparing all these digestive processes. Fasting, paradoxically, is the antidote for that. As we train it, as we gain skill with it, then our hunger level goes down. It's like eating in general, in the big pictures, makes us hungrier because the body's like, oh, we might be eating like all the time. We got to keep this system going. Okay, as we fast, as we learn to do it, body's like, oh, like usually we aren't eating a lot of times here. It's like we can really shut down this process, helps to bring hunger under control. Evening's definitely a challenge, especially with chronic insomnia. Yeah, that's very, very difficult space to be in. It is because, right, it's like you're up and around, and then it's like we got comfort food, right? And if you're stressed, if you're having trouble sleeping, and sometimes you say, well, what do you do in this space? So easy to grab something. That's a cycle to really try to work out in that space of not eating in that space, though, because you start to train the body in that cycle. Like, this is what we do, and then the body comes to expect it, and then you get hungrier there, and then that can feed back around and drive insomnia, because it's like, then it's harder to sleep because hormonally the body's like, no, we're supposed to be eating now. And so that's definitely something to recognize. Very, very difficult space, very thoughtfully. I need to thoughtfully approach it. Fasting aids at the very least. You know, I did the fasting aids video the other day. If you're up, if you're struggling in that space, at least sticking with a fasting aid, you know, you have the fiber supplement, you have a broth, you know, very little coming in that space that is actually going to drive weight gain in that cycle. So trying to stick with something like that, especially tea. If people struggling with insomnia, usually I tell people herbal tea is what you want to go to. No caffeine, still warm, comforting, you know, chamomile or something like that helps promote sleep, anything like that. Try to stick with that from the consumption standpoint is the way to go in general, at least as a first step. Okay, so we're trying to open our mind, right? And to help us do that, open our mind on this journey, I'm going to read you another little excerpt from this beautiful book to help us with this. This book I've read previously. If you have heard The Creative Act, A Way of Being by Rubin. This chapter called The Unseen. All right. A way of being. This is what we want. We're heading toward 2026. We're gonna be different, right? In order to be different, we have to change, right? So we have to think of this. How do we change? How do we harness as much positive energy, as much of a creative force as we possibly can to create the experience for ourselves that we want to experience? We say, I've been living on this planet for decades. I haven't cracked the code. I haven't gotten exactly on the path in the way that I want. So you have to open your mind to break out of cycles and habits. Let's do it. By conventional definition, now remember, this guy's an artist. This guy is talking to artists about writing songs and making sculptures, and we are stealing his idea and bending it to our purpose, which is we're creating our weight loss experience. We are a living piece of artwork that we are molding and shaping into a beautiful expression of health. All right. By conventional definition, the purpose of art is to create physical and digital artifacts, to fill shelves with pottery, books, and records. Although artists generally aren't aware of it, that end work is a byproduct of a greater desire. We aren't creating to produce or sell material products. The act of creation is an attempt to enter a mysterious realm, a longing to transcend. What we create allows us to share glimpses of an inner landscape, one that is beyond our understanding. Art is a portal to the unseen world. Without this spiritual component, the artist works at a crucial disadvantage. The spiritual world provides a sense of wonder, a degree of open-mindedness not always found within the confines of science. The world of reason can be narrow and filled with dead ends, while a spiritual viewpoint is limitless and invites fantastic possibilities. The unseen world is boundless. Are you getting the flavor of opening your mind to something bigger? Can our life, can the possibility of change be bigger than we have previously considered? Now, he says, I think appropriately, the word spirituality may not speak to those who dwell chiefly in the intellect or those who equate the word with organized religion. Okay? Spirituality in our world, a charged word, okay, means different things to different people. Some people oppose to it. Okay? If you prefer to think of spirituality as simply believing in connection, that's fine. If you choose to think of it as believing in magic, that can work too. The things we believe carry a charge regardless of whether they can be proven or not. So I'll tell you here on the channel, simple fasting. I'm not trying to give you a spiritual outlook. I'm trying to give you just a physical, tangible practice to help you lose weight. But I'll tell you, I'm open to help from wherever it can come from. And I think this is something really to think about. The practice of spirituality is a way of looking at the world where you're not alone. There are deeper meanings behind the surface. The energy around you can be harnessed to elevate your work. You're part of something much larger than can be explained, a world of immense possibilities. Someone says, I'm a strict materialist. I don't believe in any spiritual thing. The only thing that exists is atoms and molecules, okay? It's like, well, that's fine. Like, if that's how you see it, like, that's okay. But like, doesn't it feel more exciting to think that you're part of something larger, right? That there are actually immense possibilities. Could something like that inspire you to take action that you previously might not have considered? I think it could. Many people's experience is that it can. You harness this energy, right? See, just talking about it, my experience is just to talk about it. Like, I get more excited, right? I get a little more animated. Like, you think about it, it's like, you know, I want some energy like that. Harnessing this energy can be marvelously useful in your creative pursuits. Isn't he describing like a pure artist, right? Can you see it? The pure artist is not really like a chemist. They're not like doing stoichiometry and balancing the equation. They're like flowing with creativity, and they're just dreaming something beautiful into existence, you know? And many people have you talked with an artist? Many people who are artists say they get in a flow state, and they say it's not them that's creating the art. They say it flowed through them. It came from somewhere else. That's the experience of what it's like. And you say, whether that's true or not, or it's just getting the human mind into a state where feeling that way helps you to do something, from a certain point of view, does it really matter, right? If you can use a thinking like this to get yourself into a really psyched up, a positive state, like, you're going to find a lot of benefit from that type of thinking. Harnessing this energy can be marvelously useful in your creative pursuit in getting to January with the success you want. The principle operates on faith, believing and behaving as if it's true. No proof is needed. Okay? It's just your life, right? It's your life. It's your experience. You're not on trial. You don't have to justify your thoughts or experiences to anyone. When you're working on a project, you may notice apparent coincidences appearing more often than randomness allows, almost as if there's another hand guiding yours in a certain direction. As if there's an inner knowing gently informing your movements. Faith allows you to trust the direction without needing to understand it. Okay, that's very hard in our rational modern world, in our scientific medical complex, right? And to not understand it, to say, hey, I'm going to, just flow with it, go with it. Have you experienced something like this, that it's saying, like, where it's like there's a coincidence where it's like, is this sending me a message? Is this trying to help me? Okay. I would encourage you, as you're on this path, right? You're moving toward health. Like, keep an eye out for something like that. And if you don't like the spirituality mindset, you say, listen, look what we did on the session the other day with the little stone, right? you encounter something natural in the world. It's inspiring. The natural world is beautiful and powerful and complex. It's full of wisdom and understanding. And if that's just the atoms in a stone, like if you can dial that in and it helps you, it's just such a beautiful way to move through the world, I say. Pay particular attention to the moments that take your breath away. A beautiful sunset, an unusual eye color, a moving piece of music, the elegant design of a complex machine. If a piece of work, a fragment of consciousness, an element of nature is somehow allowing us to access something bigger, that's the spiritual component made manifest. It awards us a glimpse of the unseen. So I would encourage you on this path, on this week, in this day, look for these little coincidences, right? Maybe it's confirmation that you're on the right path. Maybe it's a gentle nudge to say, no, this is the way. Maybe a lot of what that is, like we have an unconscious mind, right? We have the part of our, like the prefrontal cortex, like the cognitive center, decision making. We have all these deeper centers that are under the surface, working the problem, right? We're here in this session, this, whatever you call it, live stream, this space. We're trying to talk about opening our mind to get on a different path. Push that rudder, get our sailboat sailing to a different place than we've been. We're going to be new people, January 1st, 2026. And the path that we get there is new to us, right? That's why change is difficult when we're always doing the same thing. Easy to walk down that path. So let's open our mind to kind of a different way of being, to realize that there is energy and wisdom and power outside of ourselves, and that we can harness it and look to it. Creating my healthy, leaner body becomes my artwork. This is what I am telling you, yes. I think we're all artists. We're artists of our life, and we can create our experience both internally for ourselves and externally for those around us as an expression of health. And I think we should see that as an artistic expression. That the brush strokes of this process, the time that we're moving our body in healthy ways, the time that we spend cooking healthy meals, the space that we open up where we practice saying no to things that are no longer serving us or we don't need in the present. That is creating a living artwork, a living expression of health in this world. And it's something we can all do. Like, the other summer I said, I'm going to do some painting. I was like, I bought paints. I tried to paint some little thing. You couldn't distinguish it from a preschooler, I thought. And, but all of us, given the hand that we're dealt, we're in different situations, right? I'm not going to be winning any basketball games. It's just not possible. Like, I'm so bad at basketball, right? It's like we can't all experience just anything we can see, but we can all take the experience we have right now, the hand that we're dealt, the medical, physical situations that we have. And from that, that's the canvas, right? We can take that canvas and we can apply the paint to it. And we can create the best expression of health that's possible. Right? No Dr. Z in the NBA, but I'm doing the things I can do, right? Staying active, choosing the healthy food, open the fasting space I'm striving, and I'd encourage you to strive. Make the most beautiful expression of health that you can. I said in the other video the other day, or the other live, the most beautiful expression is just finding a mental space of peace and contentment, especially without food. where it's like we aren't dependent emotionally on food, right? We still ultimately, even when we're practicing fasting, we are physically dependent on food, right? We do need it, but not as much as we think. And we want to take away the emotional dependence on it so that we can float down that path together. Yeah, I love that. We can all be artists. We can all create something beautiful. That can be our experience of it for our own personal selves. You know, an artist, it says in this book, you don't create art for other people. You create it for yourself. And then if someone else doesn't like your artwork, you don't have to feel bad. You didn't make it for them anyway. You made it for yourself. Did you create the most beautiful artwork that you could? Did you create an expression of health? Okay. You don't have to justify it to anyone else. Okay. But, okay, artists do create art and it does provide benefit to other people. It's inspiring to other people. And, so you want to create something in art that it is inspiring and helpful for others as well. And so it can serve both of those purposes. I really, really like that. So creating an artistic expression is the process of walking down the path. It's the process of opening your mind to it and seeing it. And so what I've been talking through so far today, right? It's both the physical process. Walking is a physical process. We're walking down a path, but it's got the mental steps. You got to think, I'm taking a step, I'm taking a step. We're like moving toward our goal, which is more abstract, we say in a way, is like, well, I'm going to try to accomplish a specific health thing, a specific weight loss target, something like that. We've got the physical process that we go through to do it. We've got the mental and emotional landscape that we're navigating through it. We merge those together. This is really why I came to fasting. I think that's why it resonated so much with me. Is because it merges those two worlds, right? It is a physical practice in the body, absolutely, but it's also a mental, emotional practice. It's just sitting right at the intersection, right in that crucial space, really. That's the crucial space that we need. Fasting is like a teacher. It can teach us a lot about how the body works. It's an emotional teacher. It can show us like a mirror, and it's reflecting back our emotional state, our relationship with food. And looking in a mirror can be difficult, right? Because a mirror doesn't lie. A mirror is just reflecting the light back and forth. So fasting is a mirror. Fasting is showing a lot physically. Where is the body at? How strong is that fasting muscle? How practiced are we at accessing the energy storage? Right? And then how practiced are we? Where are we at on that path mentally and emotionally? Finding a centered space of peace and contentment? Are we using food as a crutch for an emotional issue that we have not yet come to peace with, come to accept, and then maybe let go of? Difficult things to do. We often need help to do that. That's why I thought this chapter was especially poignant. A lot of 12-step programs go there, right? So Alcoholics Anonymous, right? Trying to find help from something greater than ourselves. And whether you call that something real or you call it a mental construct, it's helped many, many people to do it. Other 12-step programs Overeaters Anonymous is more germane, right? Same concept. Your weight loss goal is possible. That's where we started. I love that quote. How does it go? Whether you think you can or you think you can't, you are right. If you think you can't, it's going to be a self-fulfilling prophecy, and you definitely won't. Okay. Now, if you think you can, the answer is that you probably can. And is it a guarantee? Maybe not. But if you think you can, you're halfway there, right? Because the real process of getting somewhere is to open your mind. If you can't open your mind to seeing that it's possible and believe it, believe that you are accomplishing it, and you will take the steps to do it. That's why I had you start. And I'd encourage you to do it. If you lose track during the week or the weekend, right? Just do the process over. See the success. See the accomplishment. It's happened in the future. Then you can see the path toward it. We're going to keep walking on the path weekdays all the way till January. And so far, so good. Really appreciate having you all here with me today. Appreciate all the thoughts. I hope you have a great day. Stay centered in this sort of space, right? We're in a beautiful health space now, dialing in on a healthy mindset. I know for myself, the commitment that I'm making, I'm not putting anything unhealthy into my body that I don't feel really good about. I'm keeping a fasting space going. I'm going to get in some exercise before I dive back in and keep working. And then I'm going to keep busy, like Jen says, and that'll keep all the other distractions away. And one of the things I'll be working on is putting together a little program for you for tomorrow. So I will see you with that tomorrow. Have a great day. It'll be Real Friday tomorrow, Pat. And then we'll be very excited for the weekend. So nice to have you here. We'll see you all tomorrow.